So I've been a Knicks fan probably since about 1991, 92. The team with Mark Jackson, Xavier McDaniel, Charles Oakley, Patrick Ewing, John Starks, all those guys. And I've been a fan ever since. I'm convinced now more than ever that this franchise is cursed, man. After watching the NBA draft lottery today, I don't even know what to say. This is such a depressing day. I had my hopes up that they would get the number one pick, but then I just thought, with the Knicks' luck, then they're never gonna get the number one pick. That's not gonna happen. And I'm watching the draft, and we get to the top five and the top four, and I just said to myself, I said, "Oh shit, the Knicks are actually gonna get the number one pick. They have the highest probability of all of these teams left." And then they get the number three pick, and the Pelicans end up with the number one pick. And it's like the life was just sucked out of me. I had a Monte Cristo cigar ready to celebrate, and it's just like I couldn't believe it. I was in disbelief. Disbelief. How cursed this team is. And, I don't want to be one of those conspiracy theory guys, but I kind of feel like it was set up for the Pelicans to get that number one pick because of the whole Anthony Davis situation. It seems like they know Anthony Davis is gonna leave, and so now that he leaves, the Pelicans at least they still have a franchise player in Zion going forward. It's just a conspiracy theory. I mean, I have nothing to back that up, but I feel like it was rigged. Or maybe I'm just salty about what happened, but the Knicks really just can't catch a break. They cannot catch a break. And I feel like it's the Ewing curse. It's the Patrick Ewing curse. Ever since they traded Patrick Ewing in 2000, it's just been one thing after the other. The team has just been on a downward spiral. They got Stephon Marbury a few years later, but when they got Stephon, Allen Houston's knee went. So Steph didn't have help. And then Steph turned out to be a nutcase. And we had Isaiah Thomas as the GM, and he was making bad trades, and they were over the salary cap, and it was just a disaster. Then they had to try to rebuild and got the team, and they brought Mike D'Antoni in, who I was never a fan of Mike D'Antoni. They brought him in. They got Stoudemire after they struck out on LeBron James, because he wanted to go hang out with his buddies down in South Beach and build a super team and try to manufacture championships. But so they got Amari, but what happened was Carmelo Anthony forced the trade to New York because he wanted to be a Knick, but he wanted to get his money. So they had to gut the team to get Carmelo, and Carmelo could have just came as a free agent. I don't blame him because he wanted to get his money, guaranteed contract and everything. They were going into a lockout. I don't hold that against Melo. But, they had to give up assets, and they gutted the team, and then Amari fell apart, his back, his knee. And I really liked Amari Stoudemire, man. I really liked him because he came to the Knicks when, nobody else wanted to. I mean, granted, he probably came to the Knicks because they were the only ones willing to offer him that $100 million uninsured contract. But either way, he still came to the Knicks. And so, but then he just completely fell apart. So then Melo never really had that second superstar. Then the stupid Knicks, they end up burning the amnesty on Chauncey Billups in order to get Tyson Chandler, which I thought was idiotic because Amari's knees were a ticking time bomb, and you don't burn the amnesty on Chauncey Billups just to get Tyson Chandler. Now, if it was a superstar, if it was a Dwayne Wade, a LeBron James, any like high level superstar, I guess you roll the dice. But Tyson Chandler was an overglorified role player. Tyson Chandler is a complementary piece to a championship team. He is not a centerpiece. And that's what the Knicks tried to make him. And I knew that was a bad decision. So what happens? Lo and behold, Amari's body fails him, falls apart. They made the playoffs a few times, but they got knocked out. The best team they had was that 54-win team, and Indiana beat them. And then it was just a hard show with Woodson. I liked Woodson, but he was frustrating at times too. Some of his lineups, and Then they brought in Phil Jackson, and Phil Jackson didn't know what the hell he was doing, and he was trying to shove the triangle offense down everybody's throats and hire his guys. And meanwhile, the league was changing, and they were going to more of the Golden State Warrior 3-point style. So that was never gonna work. And then stupid Phil Jackson, re-signs Carmelo to that huge contract, which I knew was a big mistake because I saw Carmelo begin to deteriorate, and I knew that Carmelo could only really play on one end of the court. And I really like Melo, don't get me wrong, but I knew what he was. I knew what he was. I knew that he was going to start falling apart. I knew that contract was going to be bad. Sure enough, it turned out to be bad. Phil Jackson made that stupid trade to Dallas with Tyson Chandler for, what the hell was that guy's name? I don't remember, the point guard in Dallas, and just he made some bad moves. He drafted that bum Nilakita, whatever. He got lucky with Porzingis, but then Porzingis wanted out of town. He became a diva, and we finally bring it us to here, and we got to the whole tank for Zion thing. They had the worst record in the NBA, and they didn't get him. They're not getting him. It's just a depressing day as a Knicks fan. And I know we're going into free agency. Supposedly Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving are coming to the Knicks. I don't know. I don't even know what to think anymore. But that, to me, that's not even going to be enough. If they would have had Zion too, then going forward they would have been really, really tough to deal with. Would have been something to build on. But I don't know. I just have no confidence in this team going forward. I'm just completely deflated. I grew up in the '90s watching basketball. Whole rugged Knicks in the '90s. Those guys, Ewing and Starks, Oakley, Mason, and they never won a championship, but they were very competitive. They won that 7-game series with Houston in '94, where they actually should have won that series, but then John Starks goes 2 for 18 in Game 7, and that was the end of that. And then I was a big Allen Houston fan. I know some guy, some people didn't like him because he wasn't a great defensive player, and he got that huge $100 million contract when he probably didn't deserve it. Because Houston was a star, not a superstar. But, I really enjoyed watching them play. Houston, Sprewell, Camby, Chris Childs. The problem was that Ewing fell apart. Ewing was already old at that point. He didn't even play in the '99 finals. He got injured prior to that during that Indiana series. So they never really had a chance to beat San Antonio, but that was still an exciting team. Then, in 2000... they went back to the conference finals. Ewing fell apart. I remember Allen Houston sprained his ankle really badly in that Miami series. I believe Sprewell had a broken foot. The team was just, they were a wreck going into that conference finals, and they lost to Indiana. And after that, that was pretty much the end of it. They traded Ewing, then they brought in Glenn Rice. Glenn Rice was already shot, and that was it, man. And I hope that one day before I die, that I'll get to actually see a championship. But I don't think so. I think I'm going to die without seeing a championship. I mean, I think the last time they won was 73, 72 around. I wasn't even born back then. And, it's just a dark day for Knicks fans, man. We thought this was our moment. We thought that the basketball gods were going to shine on us. But, they were going to have mercy on us finally. But we were wrong. We were wrong. All right. So that's just sad. It's Mike from Bensonhurst, man. Just keep banging.